και κύριοι, καλησπέρα σας. Η εκπομπή Ομογένεια εδώ Λονδίνο θα σας κρατήσει συντροφιά και αυτή την Παρασκευή και θα σας ενημερώσει για την επικαιρότητα που διαδραματίζεται εδώ στην καρδιά του Λονδίνου. Ας δούμε όμως πρώτα τους τρόπους που μπορείτε να μας παρακολουθείτε. Παρακολουθήστε την εκπομπή Ομογένεια εδώ Λονδίνο, αλλά και όλες τις παραγωγές του Hellenic TV ελεύθερα σε ολόκληρη την Αγγλία από το Freeview στο κανάλι 264. Απλά επιλέξτε την κατηγορία International από το Vision TV. Με το Roku Box μπορείτε να παρακολουθείτε όλα τα τηλεοπτικά και ραδιοφωνικά κανάλια από Ελλάδα και Κύπρο. Το Roku Box μπορείτε να το προμηθευτείτε από τα γραφεία της ΣΥΤΑ UK και να έχετε απεριόριστη τεχνική υποστήριξη. Για περισσότερες πληροφορίες επικοινωνήστε με το Hellenic TV στο τηλέφωνο 020 82 92 70 37 ή με την ΣΥΤΑ UK στο τηλέφωνο 0800 036 00 78. Με το application Vision TV Net μπορείτε να παρακολουθείτε όλα τα προγράμματά μας ζωντανά στο κινητό, στο tablet ή στον υπολογιστή σας. Για περισσότερες πληροφορίες σχετικά με τα προγράμματα του Hellenic TV και τους τρόπους που μπορείτε να μας παρακολουθείτε, επισκεφτείτε την ιστοσελίδα μας www.hellenictv.net. Σας καλούμε να μας ενημερώνετε για τις εκδηλώσεις που πραγματοποιούνται στην κοινότητά μας. Επικοινωνήστε μαζί μας και εμείς θα βιντεοσκοπήσουμε το γεγονός και θα το προβάλλουμε στο Hellenic TV. Το τηλέφωνο μας είναι 020 82 92 70 37 και η ηλεκτρονική μας διεύθυνση info@hellenictv.net. Μην χάσετε πλάνα και συνεντεύξεις από τις εκδηλώσεις και τις διαλέξεις που πραγματοποιήθηκαν στο Λονδίνο αλλά και στην υπόλοιπη ελληνική και κυπριακή επικράτεια, εδώ στην εκπομπή Ομογένεια εδώ Λονδίνο. Σε αυτό το πρόγραμμα θα σας παρουσιάσουμε αποσπάσματα από την διάλεξη του Δημάρχου της Αθήνας και υποψήφιου Ευρωβουλευτή κ. Γιώργου Καμίνη. Επίσης θα σας παρουσιάσουμε ένα απόσπασμα από την ομιλία της σκηνοθέτηδας Άβρας Σιδεροπούλου στο King's College, όπως και αποσπάσματα από την σχολική γιορτή του σχολείου του Αγίου Ιωάννου του Βαπτιστού, όπου γιόρτασαν τις εθνικές εορτές, και τέλος αποσπάσματα από τον χορό που διοργάνωσε το LSE στο Κυπριακό Κοινοτικό Κέντρο. Ας ξεκινήσουμε με το πρώτο μας θέμα που αφορά τη διάλεξη που πραγματοποίησε ο Δήμαρχος Αθηναίων, κύριος Γιώργος Καμίνης, στο Hong Kong Theatre του Πανεπιστημίου LSE την Τρίτη στις 2 Απριλίου. Η διάλεξη ήταν στα πλαίσια των ομιλιών που διοργανώνει το Hellenic Observatory του LSE. Τίτλος της διάλεξης ήταν Athens Grassroots Regeneration, Reflection from Mayor George Kaminis. Την εκδήλωση τίμησαν με την παρουσία τους ο Kevin Featherstone, ο οποίος είναι καθηγητής στις σύγχρονες Ελληνικές Σπουδές και καθηγητής Ευρωπαϊκής Πολιτικής Ελευθέριος Βενιζέλος. Επίσης παρευρέθηκε η κυρία Μύριαμ Γεωργίου, η οποία είναι καθηγήτρια Μέσων Επικοινωνίας στο LSE. Τον κύριο Καμίνη παρουσίασε ο Ricky Burdett, καθηγητής Αστικών Σπουδών της Σχολής Οικονομικών Επιστημών του LSE και διευθυντής έργων του LSE City Urban Aids. Μετά την παρουσίαση του κύριου καθηγητή και πριν την ομιλία του κύριου Καμίνη, παρουσιάστηκε και ένα σύντομο βίντεο το οποίο αφορά την Αθήνα. Ας παρακολουθήσουμε τον κύριο Ricky Burdett και το βίντεο.
Welcome to the London School of Economics. My name is Ricky Burdett and I'm Director of LSE Cities, which is a research centre here at the school. And together with a number of colleagues who are all here, Philip Rother, Tony Travers, Savas Verdis, I run something called, together with them, the Executive Masters in Cities, otherwise known as EMC. This event, which is jointly organized with the Hellenic Observatory, which is another research and teaching department of the school, and LSE Cities, were in fact holding this event as part of the Executive Masters teaching session. So it's a great pleasure to be here to have the Mayor of Athens, George Kaminis, who's going to be talking about an issue which is of great relevance to European and other cities in the world, which is about grassroots regeneration. But to do that, we not only have our classic London and LSE evening audience, we have at least representatives from, in fact, 22 cities, 22 people from 22 cities who are the members of this Executive Masters, from Addis Ababa, from Quito, from Shenzhen, from Tirana, which is the closest of the cities to Athens, which is what we're going to be focusing on. Let me just tell you what the format of the evening is before introducing our speaker and the panelists. We will have Mayor Kaminis speak from here, from the platform, on a particular issue and program that has been highly successful called Sin Athena, to do with collective engagement and civic engagement in the city. Before we do that, we will actually show a short video, and I'll come to that in a moment. It gives you a sense of what it's actually about. We will be then joined by two colleagues from the school, Mayor Georgiou, who's a professor of media and communications in the Department of Media and Communications at the LSE, who actually has done some extremely interesting comparative work on some of these issues that we're going to be discussing in different cities across Europe, and by Kevin Featherstone, who is a professor in contemporary Greek studies and professor in European politics. He's also the director of the Hellenic Observatory here at the school. So we, in a way, have different sections of the London School of Economics represented to engage with the mayor on the issues that we're going to be discussing. We will then open the discussion to the floor, to you. We would like, in the tradition of the LSE, to offer as many voices and commentary as possible, but keep it short. There will be a microphone coming to you. Can you please put your hand up? Wait for the microphone, because we want to know who you are. Tell us who you are very briefly, and ask a question. If you have to make a statement, keep it short, and therefore don't go on at great length. We'd like to have as many voices as possible and try to end the evening at 8 o'clock as planned. Let me just briefly introduce the evening's sort of content rather than logistics. I mean, you could say that Athens, at the moment, probably more than any other European city, has focused the tensions and the opportunities of cities in the early 20th century. But one could say, George, that you've been at it for some time. Not you personally, but the city of Athens has been at it as a city since the 5th, 6th century BC. And in fact, as a planner myself, as an architect, I'm reminded that probably the first ever urbanist in the world was Meton of Athens from the 5th century. So you've had 2,600 years to test your resilience. So I think that's an interesting point. You know, it takes time also to absorb the institutions and the DNA. Some very simple facts just to remind ourselves of what we're talking about. Greece has a population of roughly 10 million, which is just a little bit more, but not much more than London. And of that, nearly a third live in the Athenian metropolitan area. But the city itself, where the electorate for George, is roughly 700,000 people. It's one of Europe's densest cities, together with Barcelona and Paris, way up there at the top. And George is now coming to the end of his second term, and will in fact be standing down more or less at the end of the month, of this month, to then run as an MEP next month. And some of us have heard this issue of the European elections for other reasons than we would really like to, but that's important. I think one of the things in talking about Athens, and particularly the initiative you're going to be discussing, is just to remind ourselves that the global crisis of 2007-2008 really hit the Greek economy hard. You know, the discussion, the word Grexit, remember that? It's now been overtaken by Brexit, unfortunately, in ways that we would not be too proud of. But the austerity which was introduced from 2010 on really led to harsh recession. Just some statistics. By 2015, the Greeks had lost 33% of purchasing power and 25% of income. I mean, that's a dramatic loss in terms of what one would be used to in a European context. So it's a city that has faced serious socio-economic crisis, but it's also shown extraordinary amount of resilience, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Some of the strengths are well known, but worth again reminding ourselves, actually very high quality of life standards in many ways. It's a city with the sea air, the climate, the quality of some of the housing stock very high levels of education, and history, culture, and everything else very strong. There's a tradition for us of the mixed urban environment, not complete gentrification or segregation that we suffer from elsewhere. But there's been a population loss at some levels, a brain drain, high aging index, an increase in unemployment and homelessness, and some of the other issues that we've also read about, riots, civil unrest, and even violence at some point. We'll touch upon perhaps the issue of migrants, because you've, as a city, had to take two waves, in many ways, of migrants over the last 20, 30 years. One is post-1989, with the collapse of the Berlin Wall and everything that flowed from that, but also just in recent years. Just in 2014-15, that year was the 6th consecutive year that 1 million refugees had arrived in Athens on their way to other European countries. So those are the sorts of numbers we're talking about that, of course, we have no idea of here in this country. So the notion of actually how to react and respond to this situation has been very much what the mayor has had to deal with. And points like this, fragility of the institutions becomes very significant, and you have to, in a way, work and invent with other methodologies, and particularly harnessing social capital in the city. George and I met only a few months ago, in fact, for the first time in Detroit, where we were at an event with American mayors and other mayors that are talking about many of these issues. And I would think, and I think one of the fundamental differences, there's a city that was completely destroyed in terms of its economic base, but its social capacity completely gone. And I think one of the things that you've been able to harness and bring back onto the table is the strong social capacity through some of the initiatives that we're going to talk about tonight. So, we are going to show in a moment this short film. It's the story about how cities can energize existing sort of ecosystems. We're going to show this video of Sinathina and explain how it works. And it was actually part of what Athens submitted as a bid to win what was a very important prize last year called the Eurocities Award for Innovation, 2 years ago. It also won previously the Bloomberg Mayor's Challenge Prize. In fact, the film, if I'm right, George, is slightly out of date, so some of the figures are there. In fact, up until now, there have been 410 community groups who've engaged with the program, and 3,502 actions have been created by this group. So we'll just show you the film in a moment, and then ask George to join us here at the platform. But before we start, could you welcome George and the other panelists to the LSE?
Over the last few years, Athens has been suffering from a series of problems. Facing big issues with shrinking budgets was a puzzle, until we turned to our best asset, our citizens. Sinathina bridges the gap between municipality and active citizens in a four-step process by collecting citizens' activities and learning their priorities, connecting the groups with each other and helping them find sponsors and resources, sieving the activities which have a greater impact on the city and activating the city's reflexes so that its services can be improved. Sinathina.gr is the place where citizens' groups can meet and act. Groups like Borume that deliver unsold products to people in need, or the Ithaka Laundry, a unit that washes homeless people's clothes, or Katya, an individual who offers free haircuts to poor people and refugees. The response was great. From 2013 until today, 253 groups have created 2,066 actions in the fields of solidarity, culture, urban environment, startup economy, and more. For Athens, innovation is not a luxury, but a necessity for faster, more sustainable solutions, and the municipality constantly updated.
Thank you.
Αμέσως μετά το βίντεο ανέβηκε στο βήμα ο Δήμαρχος της Αθήνας, κύριος Γιώργος Καμίνης, ο οποίος ανέπτυξε το θέμα Athens Grassroots Regeneration, Reflection from Mayor George Kaminis και μίλησε για τις δραστηριότητες του στο Δήμο της Αθήνας μέσα στα χρόνια της κρίσης, αλλά και της μεταναστευτικής προσφυγικής κρίσης. Ας περάσουμε να παρακολουθήσουμε ένα απόσπασμα από την ομιλία του κύριου Καμίνη.
Well, thank you for the invitation. And before I start, allow me to thank Professor Ricky Burdett, for inviting me to speak today at the London School of Economics. Well, I consider it a great honor to be amongst students and professors of LSE cities, the center of academic excellence in a topic I have devoted the last 8 years of my life. And I always find it invigorating to be in a purely academic environment, because it allows me to remember my older days as a professor of constitutional law in the University of Athens, and of course my own days as a student. As I have often said, the ascendance of the city as a political actor is one of the most intriguing phenomena in today's world. And I'm glad an institution as prestigious as the LSE shares this view by investing in a program like LSE Cities. Now, I'm here to share with you a story of a city, but also of its citizens. A city that found itself in a dark, insecure present and managed to weave together bonds of trust by relying on the power of networks of devoted citizens and inspired individuals. It's a city that bravely took up the responsibility to keep a fragmented and hurt society together on its feet and filled the void of a faltering state. A city steeped in culture and history that managed to reclaim her place in the world almost against all odds, facing a perfect storm of depleted public funds, a dysfunctional administration, and a combination of crises that shook our continent to the core. The city, as you probably imagine, is Athens, and I am her proud mayor. But this story is not only about our city. The obstacles we overcame, and especially the way we chose to address them, could be valuable lessons as we struggle to come to terms with an ever-changing world and the challenges the new reality poses to our way of thinking. So while I'm here to talk to you about our experience in Athens, I sincerely hope that in the discussion that follows and the ensuing questions and answers session, we can make an attempt to draw conclusions that go beyond the scope of a mere case study. And let that be our humble contribution to the greater political debates of our time. When Athens started developing the Synathina platform, after winning the Bloomberg Philanthropies Mayor's Challenge Prize back in 2013, the basic idea was to document, strengthen, and support the vibrant civil society that was emerging as a response to the social crisis that hit Greece. We realized that an overwhelming number of citizens were working together to improve their neighborhoods and support communities in need. We could feel society was yearning to help and was looking for ways to channel this frustration in a creative way. But there was no clear way for city government to engage with their activities, often overlapping or complementing our own social services. At the heart of Synathina is a platform that allows members of the community to engage in problem solving and reform. Individual citizens and groups submit activities as well as ideas on how to improve their city. And by creating Synathina, the citizens groups now have a valuable tool at their disposal to connect with each other, but also with potential partners from the non-profit, academic, and the private sector in order to maximize the impact of their actions. And through Synathina, they can easily connect with the municipality services that are more useful to achieve their goal. But Sinathina's most important contribution was how it completely revamped our way of thinking in the municipality and changed our approach to problem solving. In Athens, we quickly realized that our potential as a city was larger than what conventional wisdom allowed at the time. Our only way was to become more extrovert, to become ambitious, to get out of our comfort zone, and to try to do things differently. Some of our most emblematic projects can be directly traced to either the Sinathina platform itself or to the methodology used by Sinathina, expanded in various other fields of municipal activity. In more than 30 of its recent projects, Athens has adopted inclusive methods by allowing citizens and stakeholders to participate in various ways, ranging from just sharing their ideas to co-designing solutions and even owning results. I will try to give you some examples. A neglected neighborhood, Kypseli, was engaged in an extensive public consultation to decide the best use for an old market building, now turned into a model social entrepreneurship center. The Athens Partnership, which is a philanthropic incubator for innovative public-private partnerships, becomes our way to leverage the goodwill of private companies, foundations, even private citizens, to benefit our city. This is how we encourage partnerships across different sectors with the city of Athens in order to benefit our citizens. Another example, a strategic plan to revitalize Athens' urban forest and central landmark of Lykabetos Hill that came to life through unprecedented engagement with local universities and the collaborative problem-solving method engaging citizens and international experts. 24 of our schools became lively community hubs through the Open Schools project, reigniting social life in whole neighborhoods. We have created the Athens Coordination Center for Migrants and Refugees. It's an umbrella network that provides physical and virtual space for 92 different organizations working for refugees in Athens. With the Curing the Limbo project, refugees are connected to active community groups in neighborhoods to regain their self-belief and sense of purpose by serving the city. Thus, they accelerate their integration in society and they are addressing their lack of housing and job skills. In our Athens Digital Lab, young developers sit with city officials to digitize outdated municipal services and test their ideas in real conditions. A historic building was turned into a digital learning center where digital skills are considered a public asset and offered freely to disadvantaged groups, mostly to old people who live alone in their apartments. Emblematic areas of the city, lingering until recently between despair and abandonment, gain a second chance and become hubs of innovation and urban design through concrete proposals by citizens groups. In a city renowned around the world for its culture, all relevant stakeholders are, for the first time in Athens history, brought around the same table and under the same roof to design and offer a unique and comprehensive cultural product for the city. It's the Athens Culture Net. Finally, Athens has tried to capture the wisdom of the world by participating in active cities networks like Eurocities, C40, or the 100 Resilient Cities, getting expertise and knowledge in areas we were lagging behind. In this framework, we organized an extensive public consultation with more than 800 stakeholders in the city to come up with a comprehensive resilience strategy in 2017 for up to 2030. for the city. Now, how does all this work touch upon the current global debate about cynicism and the erosion of trust to policies and public institutions? It's an interesting question. And what does the Athens experience tell us? Well, I think it is impossible to create trust in the system if we don't trust our citizens first. And our methodology has tried to do exactly this: create trust in government to public employees themselves. Synathina was designed to work with the administration and not bypass it in the more possible way. This way motivated city public servants that are energized by this cooperation and their sense of purpose renewed. It creates trust in government from the side of the private sector and civil society. In Athens now, many people from the private sector and many groups from the civil society, they see a credible partner in the municipality. Instead of being discouraged, they choose to cooperate with us. And that's a paradigm shift for Greece. It creates trust in government from the side of citizens. When first engaged, citizens naturally start off being very cynical. As time goes by, they witness firsthand that the projects that affect them are indeed realized and are working. This creates a sense of ownership to the citizens that feel they have a stake in what is happening in their neighborhoods.
Ολόκληρη τη διάλεξη του κυρίου Καμίνη θα σας παρουσιάσουμε προσεχώς στην εκπομπή με το φακό του Hellenic TV.